Shalom and welcome back to Life Divine Ministries, Columbus, Ohio, connecting people to the true source of life, John 15, 1 through 7. My name is Janice Stewart. We are so excited, as always, to have you with us today. All of us together receiving with meekness the implanted word which is able to save our souls. James 1:21. Before we begin our review of lesson 39, let us open in prayer. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father and King, we praise, exalt, magnify, glorify your name, and exalt you above every principality, every power, and every dominion. We declare that you and you alone are Echad. You are the one true living God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, and we praise you today. We thank you for joining us together as we worship you through your word. We thank you for the Ruach HaKodesh who leads and guides us in We ended our study with the Greek phrase "idia doxē kai ἀρετῇ," by his own glory and might, which you see highlighted for you here in blue on the screen, as well as the rough English translation of the Greek. We also read the ESV, the NASB, the NET, and the Word Biblical English translations of the Greek. 2 Peter 1:3. We then went to Bauckham's commentary note from page 178 of his discussion of the Greek word idia. And if this is your first time with us, we are studying from the Word Biblical Commentary, Jude, 2 Peter by Richard J. Bauckham. And in his commentary notes, we learned from him that the Greek word idia here in this verse is in the dative case. It is feminine singular. It has a range of meaning pertaining to self, i.e. one's own, by implication, private or separate. In the verse here, we learned it is being used instrumentally, which means the means of. And here, so it could be translated by, or by whom, or by. And as Bauckham stated in his commentary note, that it should be translated as by, because of its use instrument. So we did go and we looked at 1 Peter 5:10, which I said earlier, that Bauckham reference and the preposition ace with the causative. And we learned from that, when we read his commentary note again, it helped us to understand the translation. Well, actually, here, let's look at this. And the translation, the rough English translation of the Greek, the now God of all grace, the one having called you to the eternal of him glory in Yeshua Messiah, a little while of you, in brackets, having suffered, he himself will perfect, will confirm, will strengthen, and will establish you. And so we see the use of the ace with the causative, and the translation you see there in the in the translation, I'm trying to distinct translation to of him to you, called you to, having the one having called you to the eternal of him. The reason, and it was really great that we did go to First Peter 5:10, is because we could see there Boykam's helping us to understand that the translation should not be a called to, a calling to, here in this verse. Now, what we did also, because he did say 1 Peter 5:10, ace is a primary preposition, to or into, of, place, time, or purpose. Also, it is sometimes used in adverbial phrases. And in this prepositional phrase, ace 10, ion, neon, auto, rachsan, with the causative objects of the preposition, is indicative of purpose here, to the verse that we're reading. And this verse, as Bauckham has stated. Then he explained to us that he made reference to, and we did look at, and we won't go through them, some scholarly information you see at the bottom there on the screen, to help us understand the various In our lesson for today, we are studying the pairs, as Bauckham calls them, δόξῃ kai ἀρετῇ. So let's start off by reading his commentary notes on page 178. And what we're going to do is we're going to just discuss the first part of his commentary note, and I'm actually going to just read the first part of his commentary note. Then our next time together, we will read the remainder of his commentary note and discuss that in our next lesson. We may break the other part of it up into 2 lessons. So we're going to today just take a moment to read. On the screen, we have the lexicon entry in a Greek English lexicon of the New Testament and other early Christian literature, looking at it in the second edition for the Greek word ἀρετῇ. Entry 1 shows its usual meaning, and you see that there on the screen. Entry 1 shows its usual meaning, which is moral excellence and virtue. Then we have a list of references of writers of antiquity: Theognis, Philo, Josephus Antiquities. We have Hermetic writings, the Epistle of Aristeas. We have the Apocryphal writings, Wisdom of Solomon, 2, 3, 4, and the Maccabees. And what those references do is gives the reader some background references of early writings of how this Greek word is and was used in those writings. Then we see it's used in Dittenberger Orientis Graeci Inscriptiones, which are published collections of inscriptions and papyri. And we've studied about papyri when we did our verses 1 and 2 to look at the variant translations of those verses. You may remember that. And so here we see it's used with the Greek word pistis. And I think what we'll do is we'll go and look at 2 Peter 1:5, which you do see referenced in this entry as well, so that we can look at it in this context as far as it is being used in 2 Peter 1:5, since we don't have access to the other resources or references that were made here. We can go and look at 2 Peter 1:5 to look at its use with pistis. So we're going to do that now. We're going to look at 1 Peter 1:5. Now, one thing that I will say to you is that when we get to 2 Peter 1:5 in Boykham's commentary notes, we will see that he will elaborate more on this verse in 2 Peter. And I thought it was very interesting as I went and referenced verse 5 as we were preparing. He catalogs these, his entry in his commentary note for verse 5. He has entitled at the top of it, of that entry note, the catalog of virtues, which we'll find very interesting when we get there. So we do have 2 Peter 1:5 there on the screen for us to take a look at. So we're going to look at that in the Greek so we can see how it is being used with pistis, as well as the other references that were made for us in the Greek lexicon of the other writings. So here is 2 Peter 1:5. We have it here. Let me just grab my pointer and you can follow along here. I do have it here, and I have, oh, my pointer did not click for me. Sorry about that. Here we go. And we're looking here at the Greek here, and we will see how it is being used with pistis. So I wanted to point that out before we read. So let's read here. Kai atod totode Svudin pasan paris in cantes eficore gesate in te piste. There, piste. This is a noun, dative feminine singular form of pistis. Himon itin ἀρετήν inde te ἀρετῇ. See, here we have how it's being used, piste and ἀρετή, virtue. English translation here, tin gonosin. So we have the example here in the Greek, and you know, if you want to do further study, you can and research those other references. This brings us to the end of Lesson 40 and Richard Boykham's discussion of the Greek pair of words δόξῃ, ἀρετῇ, glory and might, in verse 3 of 2 Peter. We will continue our discussion of verse 3 in our next lesson. So again, my name is Janice Stewart, Life and Divine Ministries here in Columbus, Ohio. If you would like to know more about Yeshua, His kingdom and His kingship, please email us at lifeindivine@earthlink.net. We do always encourage you to email us. We are here for you. We are here to answer any questions that you may have. We're here to pray with you. So please email us and we will do our best to answer all of your questions. And of course, we're here to pray with you and to walk with you through whatever situations you may be experiencing. We do invite you to visit our YouTube page, Life in the Bind, at earthlink.net is our email address. But if you go to our YouTube page, Life in the Vine with Janice Stewart, we would love to hear from you and pray with you and just encourage you. Before we close, let us have a word of prayer. Vino Malkein, our Father and King, we praise, exalt, and thank you for all that you have given us through your great and precious promises to us. We thank you that you've given us all things pertaining to life and godliness, and that through the life of Yeshua, via Yeshua and the Ruach HaKodesh, that we can be partakers of your divine nature as we be grafted in to the rich olive branch of your people, Israel, as we together are joined together with you. B'Shem Yeshua, Amen and Amen. We look forward to seeing you again next time. Again, my name is Janice Stewart, Life Divine Ministries here in Columbus, Ohio. Shalom, shalom.